Have you ever wondered if you need to exercise to lose weight on a GLP-1 medication? Today, I'm talking about where I've landed on the whole exercise question. I'm not a fitness expert. I'm just figuring this out like everybody else. Also today, I'll share my weekly weigh-in results, how my first appointment with the dietitian went, what my activity is looking like these days, and how the first week on my new increased dose went. I am totally a lazy bones. And if I didn't have to exercise, I wouldn't. Well, I guess I don't have to exercise. But you know how you can't unknow things once you know them? Technically, you don't have to exercise to lose weight. But don't stop watching right now, because even though that's true, there are so many reasons why you should exercise when you're trying to lose weight. Knowing what I know about how important exercise is, I've incorporated it into my life, even though it's not easy for me and it never has been. I'm not naturally athletic. I was one of those kind of always picked last on a team when I was a kid, or maybe not very last, but like second or third to last. So exercise just isn't something that I love. Sports isn't something that I do. If you don't exercise when you lose weight, you don't just lose fat. Your body will burn muscle and fat. Muscle is the engine of your metabolism. It burns more calories at rest, and the more muscle you have, the higher your metabolism is. And so then think about if you get down to your goal weight, but you have less muscle than when you started, your metabolism is going to be lower, and it's going to be so hard to maintain that weight because you won't be able to eat as much without gaining weight. If you continually do some kind of resistance training or strength training to maintain your muscle, you can lose the excess fat from your body, but maintain your metabolism. And that's just an argument related to the number on the scale, but there are even more powerful arguments about exercising. Exercise helps your bone strength. It helps your brain health. It helps your cardiovascular health. It helps your mental health. In fact, a sedentary lifestyle carries mortality risks that are similar to smoking, heart disease, and diabetes. So even though I'm a lazy bones, I got to move my body. And I trick myself. I've always tricked myself. When I was younger and I ran or jogged, I would sign up for events. So then it's like, oh my gosh, I have to run a half marathon in 9 months. And so kind of motivated out of fear, I would do all this training so that I could run the half marathon. I don't run anymore, but I'll do things like, I plan walks with friends. So I know I'm going to show up and walk, or I make dates on my calendar to go to the gym. And that doesn't always work because I can blow it off, but it helps. I plan vacations that are purposely active. So then I'm motivated to train for the vacation so that I can have a good time. So all these little tricks. I have one trick that I'll share with you in this video that helped me, and I'm adding a free download for this little thing that I made in case it helps you too. If you're just finding my YouTube channel, welcome. I'm Bobby. I'm a therapist and an artist, and I'm documenting my GLP-1 weight loss experience here on YouTube. Real quick, I'm not a medical doctor, and although I am a therapist, I'm not your therapist. So none of what I'm talking about is medical advice or mental health advice. Always talk to your doctor and your healthcare providers to make decisions for yourself. I'm about 3 months into my GLP-1 experience. Keep in mind that I was active before I started taking the GLP-1. So I wasn't starting at ground zero, but I didn't have a really structured strength training plan. So I started at a pretty basic level for weightlifting. If you are starting from scratch, don't despair. You will be so surprised by how fast your body will build up endurance and strength. If all you could do today is a 5-minute walk, great. Take that 5-minute walk. Future you will look back and thank current you for taking that 5-minute walk, because future you is going to be like walking a few miles or working out with a personal trainer, feeling like a badass. Like it really does build over time. And if you just start wherever you're at, you will notice that you'll be able to walk longer and further or lift heavier or whatever it is you're doing. So even though technically you don't have to exercise to lose weight, I sincerely hope that you're doing this for your overall health and that you'll incorporate exercise as you're going along on this journey. I'm convinced that the strength training I'm doing is slowing the rate of loss on the scale. And although that's frustrating, and if you watch my prior videos, you'll see me being frustrated that the scale isn't moving or isn't moving faster, I would still rather put up with that frustration and be healthy and keep my muscle than get rewarded by a number on the scale, but have worse health. So it's a trade-off that I'm making. My weigh-in this week is very unexceptional. And if nothing else, it is living proof that strength training is making the rate of weight loss quite slow. Because last week I weighed in at 198.1, and this week I weighed in at 198.0. That is 1/10 of a pound. I'm not even going to do the math for how long it would take me to lose 30 pounds if I lose 1/10 of a pound a week. But my dietitian assured me today, she sees it all the time that people go along for several weeks not losing anything, and then bam, they drop like 4 or 5 pounds. So I'm kind of holding that close to my heart. Speaking of exercising, I talked a little while ago about Dr. Stacy Sims' book, Next Level, and I don't have it around here. I'll put a picture of it up. It's basically a working out exercise book for menopausal women. I've been incorporating her recommendations into my exercise routine. Having some pretty intense cardio sprint intervals is important for a variety of reasons that I can't even remember. So for a couple weeks, I've been doing these sprint intervals, and I find them very aversive because I was doing the ones that she explained, and it was 30 seconds of all out effort and then 2 minutes of rest. And you actually just rest, like just sit down or stand there. So 30 seconds all out and then rest. And you do that 4 to 6 times, and then you rest for 4 minutes. And so that whole thing, you do that several times. So I've been doing it and really not liking it. So I decided to look for something that maybe I'd like a little more. And I found from Dr. Rhonda Patrick, who has the podcast Found My Fitness, and it's super sciencey. She interviews scientists and professors in depth about their research, and her podcast episodes are like 90 minutes long. So sometimes I'm not in the mood for them if I kind of want some entertainment, but sometimes I want to get in the weeds about the science behind, why you should eat protein, or why sauna is good for you, or in this case, why interval training is good for you. So anyway, Dr. Patrick was talking about this kind of interval training called Norwegian 4x4s. Maybe it was invented in Norway. I don't know. It sounded less intense, even though it takes longer. But I would gladly spend a little bit longer doing something that I don't hate than dreading something, getting it over with, but really not enjoying it. So I decided today was the day where I was going to try Norwegian 4x4s. And what they are is you go pretty hard for 4 minutes, but you can't go all out, right? Like you can't sprint for 4 minutes. So you go as fast as you can maintain for 4 minutes. And that's the part that makes a huge difference to me, because even though going as hard as you can for 4 minutes, I was out of breath. It's different than running for 30 seconds. Actually, I say running, but I was walking at a steep incline because I don't run anymore because of my knees. So anyway, Norwegian 4x4s, you go pretty hard for 4 minutes, and then you go easily, like walking or something, for 3 minutes. And you do that cycle 4 times. So a 7-minute cycle 4 times is 28 minutes. And then when you add on like a warm up and a cool down, it's a little over half an hour. And I was like, I can do that. Okay, so today I'm going to try it. Well, it came time to try it today, and my motivation started to wane, which is not surprising. It happens to me all the time. If I relied on motivation to exercise, I would never exercise. So I was sitting there and I'd finished work and I wanted to do my exercise. My mind started thinking of reasons to blow it off. It's always a bad sign. And I thought, okay, what can I come up with to make myself excited about doing this? It's kind of nerdy, but maybe you can understand. I cannot resist a good spreadsheet. For these 4x4s, I was kind of thinking, I'm going to lose track of how many I've done. I know I am. I'll be confused if I've done 3 or 4, and I'm going to be tired and out of breath. So I was thinking I would just make little tally marks on a piece of paper. And I thought, if I had a really pretty spreadsheet to make little marks on when I'm doing this workout, like that would make me kind of excited to do it. So I made this really pretty Norwegian 4x4 spreadsheet or checklist or whatever you call it. And look, I did my workout and it was fun. I was right that going hard for 4 minutes is just a whole different experience than going as hard as you can for 30 seconds. There's a heart rate range that is recommended. It's like 80 to 90% of your heart rate range. So I knew what that was. And I even noted it on my spreadsheet. So I can't trust my memory for anything. Noted it on my spreadsheet so that I could check on my Apple Watch and make sure I was staying in that range. Sometimes I had to slow my walking pad down and I never had to speed it up. So I did that workout and it was because I had this little tool that made me kind of excited to check off every box. Yeah. And I like it so much. And I thought, well, maybe if someone else wanted to try a Norwegian 4x4, maybe this would help them. So I'm going to put a link in the description so you can download it if you want it. I'm not asking for your email or anything. I'm just going to just link to it and download it if you want it. So yeah, that was a really effective way for me to make sure I didn't blow off my workout today. And I'll remember that some kind of little tracker makes things more fun for me. My walking pad claims that it goes up to 6 miles an hour, but it is not 6 miles an hour because when I crank it up to 6, I can still walk. I mean, I have to walk really fast, but I can still walk. And I know I cannot walk a 10-minute mile. So it's a little off, but that's okay. I really just want to walk on it anyway. To get the intensity high enough, I wore my weighted vest for this workout. When I wear that vest and put it as fast as it goes, I can get my heart rate pretty high. And if that ever changes because I, get in some kind of amazing shape, I'll worry about that when the time comes. Like that will be a great problem to have. But right now, just wearing the vest and cranking it up really high, it's quite a workout for me. Hey, I'm editing this right now, and I just realized that I mentioned working out at 80 to 90% of your max heart rate in passing. And if you don't know how to calculate that, I wanted to give you the formula real quick, especially because the formula that you'll find if you just Google it is one that was developed pretty much based on men. And for women, they found out that it's a little bit different. If you Google the regular, most common formula, it's 220 minus your age to get 100% of your heart rate maximum. So I'm 56. So 220 minus 56 is 164. Is that right? Yeah. So that would be 100% of my heart rate maximum. So if you take 80% of 164 and 90% of 164, you get 131 to 148 beats per minute. So that was mostly developed for men. And it's what I've used my whole life. But it turns out that for women, the heart rate range is a little bit lower. There are a few different formulas. They're all going to give you something within a few heartbeats. So I picked one that's commonly used in the research for women. It's 206 minus 88% of your age. So 88% of my age is 49. And when you take 49 away from 206, you get 157. So you can already see that 100% of my heart rate max drops from 164 to 157. And then when you calculate 80% and 90% of 157, I get a heart rate range of 126 to 141. So when I'm doing these Norwegian 4x4s, I'm keeping an eye on my Apple Watch that my heart rate stays in between 126 and 141 during the hard work 4-minute intervals. One more thing, you may have heard somewhere that really intense cardio can increase your cortisol levels and make it harder to lose weight and kind of raise your overall stress levels. And that is true, but not for shorter interval training. It's true for really high intensity, long duration cardio, like marathon training and long distance running. And it's also true if you do high intensity training and you don't recover adequately. And that's why these Norwegian 4x4s or any kind of interval training like that, they suggest you just do it at the most 3 times a week. I'm doing it 2 times a week. Also, if you frequently work out fasted, that can increase your cortisol levels. And just in general, excessive cardio, especially in a calorie deficit, can increase your cortisol levels. So doing the right amount and not too much of interval training, you should be okay with your cortisol level. Okay, I just wanted to add that in there in case you weren't sure how to calculate your heart rate max. So besides doing sprint intervals twice a week, I'm also strength training twice a week. So I just wanted to tell you real quick what it is that I'm doing when I say I'm strength training. Right now, I've got 7 exercises that I'm doing, and each exercise I do 3 sets of 12 reps. And the exercises are leg press, leg extension, leg curl, shoulder press, lat pull down, chest press, and row. I'm using the machines right now, and I'm going to do that for about 12 weeks because I want to establish some kind of base of strength. And then I'm going to start transitioning over to dumbbells and barbells. I've started doing that a little bit. Like I prefer using dumbbells for shoulder press, and I prefer using dumbbells lying down on an incline for the chest press. Particularly for the lower body exercises, I'm looking forward to doing squats and lunges and stuff with a barbell or dumbbells. But like I said, I just wasn't feeling in the greatest shape. So I wanted to have a period of time where I was working out on the machines because it just feels safer to me. Even though it's hard for me to get myself to the gym, once I'm there, I actually enjoy it. It feels really good to feel strong and to see progress and to lift heavier. So it's really getting myself to the exercise that's the hard part. Once I'm there, I actually kind of like it. But no matter how hard I try to remember that for the next time it's time to exercise, I'm like, I don't wanna. So I don't know. I have to just keep tricking myself. I'm just about to finish up my first whole week at the higher dose. I spent 3 months at 0.25 milligrams of semaglutide and then upped my dose to 0.5 last week. And I'll take my second shot of that tomorrow. So this first week has been fine. I was kind of nervous that I'd have some fatigue like I had 3 months ago when I started the medication. And I was also nervous that it would make my constipation come back with a vengeance because I've been on top of it lately, but it took me like a little over 2 months to figure out how to manage it so that I was regular. The solution I landed on with my doctor's help, we kind of went back and forth a lot and figured this out, is a dose of Miralax every day, 5 prunes every day, 400 milligrams of magnesium citrate every day, and then just really make sure I stay on top of my water and my fiber. I've been doing that and things have been good. So I was like, ugh, what if this dose increase messes that up? And it hasn't so far. It's been almost a week. So I think, I don't know, I don't want to speak too soon, but so far so good. Really, the only thing I noticed from the dose increase is it doing what it's supposed to do, which the appetite suppressant has been very noticeable. Because it's towards the end of the week, I have some appetite now, but not very much. I had zero appetite for several days. Because it's shot day tomorrow, it's starting to wear off a little bit. I just noticed, like, I finished working out today and I was like, oh, I'm hungry. I got to eat something. So it's kind of nice. Like that feels more normal. So yeah, I'm really happy that I went up a dose. Like I said, I was nervous last week, but it's all good. I straightened my hair for Easter and it's still straight because I only wash my hair once a week. You know what? I kind of like it straight. I forgot. I hadn't worn it like this in over 6 months. So I had my first appointment with the dietitian and I really like her. I thought I would because she was recommended to me by someone I know. I showed up with some printouts of my food tracking and she really likes that. So if you are tracking your macros or your calories or what you're eating and even your exercise, don't be afraid to bring that in for a dietitian appointment because it actually makes her job easier. She could get an idea pretty quickly of where I was at and what I was doing. And she did have some helpful suggestions for me. I honestly wasn't sure if I was eating too much or not eating enough. And she said that I wasn't eating quite enough. I've been averaging about 1,400 calories a day, but she said I could go up gradually to about 1,700. For reference, I'm 5'9", and I weigh about 198 right now. And I'd like to get down to about 160, 165, something like that. She said, adding 100 calories a day in every week or so and just kind of seeing what happens in terms of weight loss, because it might make my body feel more supported. And then she had good ideas for how to get the extra calories, because I was like, this is such a weird problem to have, but how do I eat that much? It's a weird problem. My whole life, it's like, stay under these calories. And now I'm like, how do I eat enough? She suggested avocado, nuts, and nut butters as really easy ways to add 100 calories here or there that you won't necessarily notice that much because they're calorie dense, but they don't take up a lot of space in your stomach. So I'm going to start doing that. I haven't started yet. I just saw her. I'm glad I went. I'm going to follow up with her in about 5 weeks and see where I'm at. Oh, the other advice she had is to be patient, because when she looked at my eating and my strength training, she agreed with me that the strength training is really good that I'm doing it, but it's going to make the scale numbers go more slowly. She said, just be patient. The scale will catch up. All the things that I have been telling myself, like your body doesn't care about the number on the scale, and, I'm doing these healthy things. I mean, she said all of that, but it is nice to hear it from a professional. It's a good reminder. So that was my dietitian appointment. I felt very reassured that she didn't have any huge tweaks to how I'm eating. I mean, I did think I was getting enough, vegetables and fruits and fiber and all of that. But again, having a professional kind of lay eyes on my current eating and say that, it looked good was really reassuring. Thanks so much for joining me today. I appreciate you all so much. Don't forget about the Norwegian 4x4 checklist spreadsheet thing that you can download for free. The link is in the description. Actually, you know what? I don't have a way of tracking if anyone downloads the spreadsheet. So if you do download it, leave this little chart icon in the comment. I think if you search chart, it should show up. If you liked this, be sure to hit like, subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions, just want to say hi, let me know how you're doing, leave me a comment. Okay, see you next week. Bye.